welcome to Cat and Coffee Espresso Machines. Today we're testing this DeLonghi espresso machine, and let's go ahead and try to make a coffee. So as you can see, there's no water coming out. So the first thing to try to do is to open this, to try to prime the pump by opening the steam line. And you can see we get water coming out. Now let's see if it'll make coffee. So I took the portafilter off because sometimes the portafilter can be clogged. And you see that we're getting a slow drip. But we're just not getting enough pressure to make espresso. And so we're going to need to open the top of the machine and in order to get to the pump and replace it. So first remove the tamper just with your hands. And then you're going to need a T20 Torx bit for removing these 3 screws. Then remove the steam handle just by pulling on it, wiggling it back and forth. Then in the back of the machine, you're going to remove these 2 screws, 1 and 2. And then after you've taken the cover off, we're going to remove the pump. Okay, so now we're beginning to take out the pump. You start out with this clip. Just use the pliers to pull it out. And then you're going to pull the hose. Be sure to watch what happens with the O-ring. Right now the O-ring is still inside, the black O-ring is still inside the pressure regulator. And I took off the hose on the right side of the pressure regulator, just pulled it off with my hands. Then I'm going to unscrew the pressure regulator. Set it aside, and then pull off. Then I'm going to use the pliers to pull off the suction side of the pump. I'm just going to squeeze this clip together, slide it down, pull it off. Do be careful, there's a lot of stainless steel stuff in here, so you can cut your hands. And I'm going to pull off these rubber mounts, these rubber anti-vibration mounts. Looks like I started with the back one first and then moved to the front one, and then it pulls out, and then you got to squeeze these together to get the tab to come off. Squeeze again together, and you see the little holes in the pump. This is where I squeeze the tab, just to show you one more time. Otherwise this won't come off. And here's the old pump. This is the Ulca EP5, I believe. And we're going to put a new EX5 pump in here. This pump is actually a little bit better, and it has a brass fitting on the tip of it, which when you're installing it, it makes it less likely to break. And then you're just going to put the slide the rubber mount on till it kind of locks in the groove on the back of the pump. Put the hose back on, then slide the clip back in place with the pliers. Then the electrical connections, it doesn't matter which spot, you can spot on the pump the electrical connections go. It doesn't matter if you mix them up between red and blue. Then you're going to screw this on. Just be careful. Screw it on. There's the O-ring right there. Just make sure it's in there. If it fell out, you're going to need to put it, you can put it back on the hose first and then put the pump in. So now be very careful here that you don't cross thread the threads, because that will, you won't get a good seal and it'll leak. And just get it on nice and tight. I'm going to use a wrench to help me get it on even tighter, because that brass part will spin and then it won't tighten. And I'm using a 13mm. You can also use your pliers here. It's just not as pretty. It'll mark up the pump, but no one's going to see it. And then I'm just twisting this to make sure it's tight. It's better to have it too loose than too tight and then see it leak, because if you go too tight, it'll break it off. That plastic piece on the regulator will break off, and then you'll have to buy a new regulator. So once again, better to have too loose than too tight, and then push it in so that the brass piece on that tube is all the way through, and then you can put the clip in. And you can see now I put the hose on the right, and so now I'm going to prime the pump. So I turn the machine on and then turn the pump on as if I was going to make coffee, and opened the hot water. This helps get the air out of the system. And then I'm going to run some hot water out the front, and you can see it's much stronger than before I replaced the pump. Now we're going to make a coffee, an espresso. My Sweet Maria's cup, great source for home roasting supplies. You can see we get a nice shot of espresso. Maybe my tamp was a little uneven as it is flowing more to the right side, but it's working great. It could be just about anything, because this machine has a crema enhancer, so it kind of causes it various things to happen when it's going through that crema enhancer. And then I'm just checking for leaks. If you have any leaks, you can see a little spot there on the left where I had a leak, and I actually had to replace an O-ring. So you might have to replace some O-rings if you have leaks. Then again, your fitting might just need to be a little tighter. Yeah, right there on the right. And that's it. So thank you for watching with Cannon Coffee. Please like our videos below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.